Most homeowners in South Ozone Park have no idea why their property is actually valuable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean the real reason, the one has nothing to do with how many bedrooms you have or whether you renovated the kitchen. It comes down to something that was decided on a map decades ago. Stick with me, because if you own a home here, this is going to change how you think about what you've got. Drive through South Ozone Park right now and notice something. It looks the same as it did 30 years ago. No big apartment towers going up, no condo buildings replacing houses, just block after block of 1 and 2 family homes, driveways, garages. Most people just think, oh, that's just how this neighborhood is. But that's not the real answer. The real answer is that South Ozone Park is legally locked into staying this way. And for anyone who owns property here, that's actually incredibly powerful. Here's what's actually going on. Most of the interior blocks in South Ozone Park are zoned R31, R3A, or R32. Those are low-density residential zones, meaning the rules are specifically written to keep big apartment buildings out. We're talking height limits around 35 feet, small allowable building footprints, and parking requirements that make large-scale development almost impossible to pull off financially. Then, at JFK Airport next door, the FAA flight path restrictions put an additional ceiling literally on how tall anything can be built here. So you've got city zoning and federal aviation rules both saying the same thing. This neighborhood stays low rise. That map decision I mentioned is zoning, and South Ozone Park is mostly made up of low-density residential zones, meaning the city limits what can be built here. In many blocks, you're looking at 1 and 2 family zoning, the kind of rules that keep the neighborhood from turning into a wall of apartment buildings. So when demand rises from jobs, from transit access, from people who want queen space, you don't get endless new supply. And the numbers back that up. Over the last 10 years, demand in South Ozone Park has surged. More buyers competing for a limited number of single-family homes. Homes selling faster, and values have roughly doubled from what they were a decade ago. That's what happens when supply stays flat and demand keeps climbing. And when supply is limited, the homes that already exist become more valuable. That's the part most homeowners don't realize. Your value isn't only your renovation, it's the rules around your block. Now let me show you what this actually looks like in real life right now. I pulled 2 homes that are currently active on the market in South Ozone Park. I have no involvement in either of these sales. These are just real listings I'm using as examples because they illustrate everything I've been talking about perfectly. First is 13205 109th Avenue, single-family colonial, fully detached, sitting on a 30 by 102 lot. 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2-car garage, wide driveway. Completely renovated from top to bottom, and with a legitimate ADU or in-law suite situation. Listed at $949,000, it's been on the market for 36 days. For a fully renovated, move-in ready, detached, single family with a 2-car garage, 36 days is honestly not bad, but it tells you something else. At $949,000, you're at the top of what this market is absorbing right now. The buyer pool gets smaller. At that price point, you're looking for a very specific person. Someone who needs the space, wants turnkey, and has the financial to support. Second is 13010 121st Street, a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, updated, remodeled, with a finished basement and also attic. Listed at $879,000, this has been on the market for 130 days. And here's the truth. The home isn't the problem, the price is the problem. In this market, buyers are sharp, they're pulling comps, they're running numbers, and when price doesn't match what the data is telling them, they walk and then they wait, and the home just sits. This is exactly what I mean when I say pricing it right from day one is everything. So when people say South Ozone Park feels frozen in time, they're usually talking about the housing. The neighborhood itself is vibrant and constantly evolving. But the housing pattern remains largely the same because the zoning rules, airport restrictions, and decades of planning policy have locked in a low-rise environment. Understanding those forces is important if you own a property here because they shape both supply and long-term value. If you own a home in South Ozone Park and you're wondering what your property might be worth, in today's market, that's a conversation I have with homeowners all the time. I specialize in helping Queens homeowners understand how local zoning, neighborhood trends, and buyer demand affect the value of their property. You can reach me directly at 347-612-2964 or book a free consultation with me. And if you want more videos explaining how Queens neighborhoods work for a real estate perspective, subscribe to the channel because the more you understand the forces shaping your neighborhood, the better decisions you can make about your property.